Welcome everybody to today's open day. We're really excited. This is actually our first kind of official open day that we've run here in the UK. So we're super excited to have you all here today and to be running through with you. Who have we got? To my left, Edward, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi folks, my name is Edward. I'm at Boolean UK working as the head of teaching, so I'll be responsible for your experience here. And a little bit later, you'll hear from me to talk about the course and what to expect and how's it going to work.
Awesome. And to my right, we have Kate.
Hello, I'm Kate. I'm the admissions officer here at Boolean. It's my job to guide you smoothly through the admissions process and to answer any questions you have before joining.
Awesome. And my name's Patrick and I head up admissions and placement here. So the first part of your journey when you're thinking about joining us, that admissions process, and then also at the end of your journey when you're starting to look for that all-important job in tech, which is why so many of you will join us, is to find that job in tech and to start a new career. That's the second part that I take care of. Fantastic. So today we are going to be covering a little quick recap of who Boolean are, your journey from zero to developer with us, the career services, the financing, the application process. We're going to do a little bit of a comparison versus other routes into finding a career in tech. And then we're going to have a Q&A at the end. Two things to note. The first one, for Q&A, you might notice the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen on the Zoom chat. That's what we're going to use for Q&A. So please don't direct your questions into the chat. Please put your questions in the Q&A. Also, please write your questions as we go through the presentation. We won't answer them straight away. We'll wait till we get to the end, but it's always good to kind of kickstart with a few questions there. So anything that's in your mind, just write it down. And if we end up covering it, then perfect. The other thing to note is that you might have noticed some other lovely panelists with us today. We're going to be hearing from some of our current and students and alumni. We're super excited to be speaking to them today. Thank you to Lenny, Tijani and Raphael for making the time to join us. We'll be speaking to you after the first point when we've spoken a bit about who Boolean are. Let's get going. Cool. Who are we? It's a great question to start with. So we're an international tech academy and we help people to start careers as software developers. International because we actually started in Italy in 2018 and expanded into the UK last year. And I guess the key point to pull out of this is it's not just about learning to code. You learn to code, of course you do. That's integral, that's fundamental, that's what you're here for. But the key thing is it's about starting a career in tech as well. And there's a lot of thought that we've put into the design of the curriculum and then also the career services to make sure that what we're doing is helping you make that transition into a career in tech. We've got lots of people working for us here, some of the lovely faces of the people who are there. Maybe I shouldn't say that about myself, but the other people that we have as well on the team. We number about 70 now, if you take into account UK and Italy. So we're a pretty hefty operation, and everybody is all aligned on that same goal, which is trying to help the people who come to us to start a new career in tech. And just a little bit of numbers behind that. So to date, we've enrolled over 1,600 students at Boolean. We're now operating in 2 countries, technically 3 if you separate UK and Ireland, UK, Ireland and Italy, but 2 essentially. And we've got over 1,000 companies combined on the platforms between Italy and the UK. So there's a lot of weight behind what we're doing at the moment. Fantastic. Now, I think probably the most valuable part of this presentation for anybody here today is that we're going to be speaking with some of our current students and alumni. Thanks again, everybody, for making the time to do this. So I thought we'd kick off maybe with a couple of minutes just hearing from each of our students and a few questions that I've got for you all before we dive into the rest of the presentation. So Lenny, if it's all good, let's start with you. So Lenny, maybe just a quick intro about yourself and what you did before Boolean.
Okay, so I'm Lenny. I started in cohort 3, as it says on the screen. I actually have a mixed background of computer science, musical theatre, art, music, all that delightful stuff. I decided that computing was the way to go. Couple years ago, maybe. It's a industry built for the future. It's like always looking for jobs, you know, that kind of thing. So I decided that I should be a part of it. And actually, my main reason for coming to Boolean is I didn't get into university because I failed a couple A levels, whatever, COVID, you know, that kind of thing. So I was like, I need to do something else instead. I need to get ahead. And I found Boolean, fell in love with the course, the teaching, the curriculum, everything about it, the support at the end, especially from Patrick. And yeah, I loved every bit of it.
Awesome. It's funny, there seems to be a real crossover with music and coding in a lot of the developers that I've met have a bit of a musical background. There's obviously something going on there. Whereabouts on the course are you now? Obviously you're cohort 3. What are you on at the moment?
So I'm just over a month. I can tell you I'm a month and 5 days into the course. So I just covered HTML and CSS, which is so far my favorite, but it's the only part I've really done. And I'm moving on to JavaScript, which is the second part of the course.
Awesome. And in terms of maybe like expectations about the course that you had before you joined versus the reality, what's it been like compared to what you were expecting?
So obviously the teacher's different, and every teacher is going to have a unique teaching style. So the course that I got wasn't exactly the same as the fundamentals camp that I did before I started the course. But in terms of the actual content, the quality of teaching, the quality of the activities, I'd say it definitely like lived up to my expectations. I'm loving the course right now.
Awesome. We're really pleased to hear it. And maybe a final question for you, Lenny, would be if you put yourself in the shoes of someone who's maybe thinking about doing Boolean or indeed retraining into tech, what advice would you give them for making a career switch?
Find your favorite part and focus on it. Everything else is important too. But for me, I know that I have to do JavaScript and I have to do all that fancy programming language jargon, but I also get to do HTML, which is a bit that I really love. So if I focus on that bit, everything else can just be kind of, yeah, I'll do that.
Nice. I like it. There's so much going on in tech, right? It's easy to kind of get blinded by the lights sometimes, and having a focal point, I think that's really, really great piece of advice. Lenny, thank you so much. That was really helpful. Let's move on to Raphael. Raphael, same question. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you and what you did before Boolean?
Yeah, sure. So hello, I'm Raphael. So basically, before I joined Boolean, sorry, I was working in hospitality as a bar manager. Actually, I'm still working currently. So yes, I've always been in tech as well, like kind of like a computer science background that I've done before at uni, but I didn't finish because I was doing that in Brazil, where I'm from, and then I just like stopped in the middle, and then I moved countries and everything. So since then, I didn't continue to like this path of tech just because I like needed to find a job and like just the basic stuff. And then yeah, I just got to a point like okay, if I don't change it now, I may never change, like I'll just keep digging to the same path, which is the one I'm not really into. So I just decided to do something very completely different of what I was doing in the moment. So like, okay, I need to change right now. So I need to give a big step. So that's why I chose to start Boolean.
Awesome. Yeah, there's been a big shift, I guess, especially in hospitality as a sector really impacted, I guess, last year in particular. So I can totally see the kind of the passion and the need to kind of retrain potentially. Whereabouts are you on the course at the moment?
Right now we're learning about APIs, which is backend of everything. So we've passed through most of the modules, and now we're seeing like the other side of it, which is very exciting as well.
Awesome. What goes on under the hood, as they say? You've built the car, and now you're looking at the engines. Lovely, lovely.
Yes, exactly.
I guess maybe a great question for you, having done, you know, all of the modules more or less now. What's been your favorite part so far?
Well, so far, I'm actually getting very interested about like the APIs and all of these backend thing. When I started the course, I was like more into like the front end of it. Like I really liked HTML and CSS. And then like when we learn JavaScript and React, we kind of give life to it, you know, like we actually like make the buttons work and everything, which is very nice. But I don't know, somehow like the backend, you know, like there's something there that of course, since I'm still learning it, like there's a lot of struggles and a lot of challenges to go through, but it is something that I wasn't expecting to be. Like it is different that I was expecting to be. So far this has been my favorite part.
Awesome, awesome. And has some of that kind of computer science knowledge that you had, is that coming useful, or are you seeing differences in the style of training here compared to what you were learning at university?
Yeah, honestly, it was quite long ago, and yeah, it is very different. It is way more practical. So I was like in my third year, and I haven't learned half of what I've already learned. You know, like in like, I mean, like programming languages and like just doing it. Like it is, I don't know, it's a bit more theoretical, and like
Sure.
there's a lot of things which I think it is important as well, but. Definitely, I feel like I'm way much more in tech right now than I was before, you know, so that's very nice.
Nice, awesome, awesome to hear it. And I guess maybe a closing question would be, what advice might you have for Lenny, who is at the start of the course, having got to where you are at now?
Well, yeah, I would say just keep loving it, like, you know, like keep this excitement, because of course all of us will have some struggles, will have some things that will be like, okay, this is very hard, maybe this is not for me because I just love this, but I need to learn this other thing. But actually you may be surprised, you know, like I was like, you may like just fall in love with some other different modules, and it'll be like, wow, that's very nice. So just keep an open mind to all of our curriculum, let's say, that something very nice can come out of it.
Great advice. I think you can be surprised sometimes, can't you, at the things that you expect to like and then the things that you actually like.
Yes,
so that's awesome. Raphael, thank you so much. We'll move on to Tijani. Tijani, same question again. Tell us a bit about you and your background before Boolean.
So my name is Tijani, and I am part of Cohort 1, the real Booleans. My background in tech was mainly in marketing and sales, and like with Rafa, I decided that I need to do the change now or never. And I was lucky enough to find Boolean, and I must say the past 6 months has been the toughest but yet most rewarding part of my coding journey. And I did not love every minute of it, because that would be a lie. I struggled a lot. I wanted to throw my computer out of the window several times, but in the end, it's all worth it. And yeah, I'm just happy that I chose Boolean and that I met all these wonderful people that was in my cohort. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think absolutely it's easy to get the like glossy eyed, oh, everything's great, but it's true, it's tough. It's going to be a really tough 6 months ahead, and I think it's important to acknowledge that. Maybe focusing on some of the positives, what was your favorite bit of the course?
My favorite bit was the afternoon exercises, because the way it's structured, we get to learn something, and then we get like a whole afternoon to just kind of play with what we learn, to kind of solidify it. And then obviously you have all the support that you get from the lecturers, the teaching assistants, but also your counterpart, your fellow students. And I learn a lot by just jumping into rooms, working with people, asking questions. So yeah, my favorite part was the afternoon sessions and just doing the exercises.
Awesome. I think it's so true. Great to hear that you've been able to work with your cohort as well. It's a major part of learning in this style is kind of pairing up with other people who are on this journey with you. You're obviously finished. You're an alumni. You're on your job hunt at the moment. You're looking for your first job in tech. How's that going? Where are you at with interviews and that kind of thing, applications?
So far so good. Yes, it's been a bit different for not coding every day all day, but obviously with Ed coming in, we've had like, you know, well, throughout the course, I would say the third part of the course, we've kind of had like preparation on how to like write our CVs, how to make our LinkedIn stand out, how to make our GitHub stand up, how to, you know, connect with people. And so there's been support in that way, and the support has continuously been there. And now we have sessions with Ed to learn more about computer science fundamentals, object-oriented programming, on all of these things that we are being kind of asked during our interview process. So it makes it easier and you feel more prepared when you actually get an interview and have to answer all these questions. So far so good. Just need to get some feedback from a lot of companies that are so far interested and impressed of what I've gained in my last 6 months. So yeah, exciting times.
I've been hearing a lot of phone interviews and first stages coming your way, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. I guess let's close with a similar question. The advice you'd give to Raphael, to Lenny, and I guess anyone else who potentially might join us at Boolean. What would you give sitting in your shoes at the end of the course?
I would say trust the process. They know what they're doing. And also don't be afraid to, you know, speak up your mind, ask questions, be helpful, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because that's one of the best ways to learn and also enjoy your time here. So yeah. Yes,
100%. Ask for help. You will rarely get the answer. You will get given more work to do, but it's super important to have that guidance and that support. I think that's great advice. Lenny, Raphael, Tijani, thank you so much. That was really, really helpful, and I'm sure everyone here has found that super useful to hear from you. If you're able to stick around, I'm sure there'll be some questions as well at the end for you three. So thank you so much. I've been speaking enough. Let's pass over to Ed to talk through the curriculum a little bit. I give you remote control as well, Ed.
Brilliant.
Go crazy.
I have all the power. Let me just make sure it's working. So I'm clicking buttons, Patrick, and I am not seeing any change in the slides. I might have to ask you to run the slides for me. Is that okay? Cool. So let's move on to the next slide, and I'll talk about what does a software developer do. So this course has been designed thinking not from the beginning but from the end, trying to think about what are companies looking for when they're trying to hire talent, junior talent, to fill software developer roles. So we started from a position of thinking about what are they looking for, and designing the curriculum backwards from that. So we're trying to think about this process in order to give you a really great experience that's tied to what you want, which is a job. In the day-to-day job, there's lots of fun that you'll have, especially when you're during the training process, creating applications and going through this process of design to get there. Let's click on the next slide. Thank you. Keep going. So let's start to think about from the beginning to the end. What is it going to look like? And we have 6 months. So this is interesting. So if you've done a bit of research and looked around at different ways into your first role as a software developer, you'll see there are different avenues. Here at Boolean UK, we are really emphasizing the training. We think training is super important. So we spend a really good amount of time in helping you develop skills and behaviors that help you in your job. So it's 6 months, it's full time, and we're entirely remote. All right, the company has always been remote, and then we do this expertly. And we also really focus on a learn by doing approach. And so a lot of the work you'll be doing will be focused around practical exercises and projects in order to get you actually doing and practicing the same skills and behaviors that you'll end up doing on the job. All right, the whole process we're trying to get to is an idea of creating a seamless transition from training into employment. So you'll end up doing all the things that you'll be normally doing. We also support this by a lot of individual attention in the afternoons. So we have a system where you're able to request support and chat to the teaching team. In addition to the skills about being a software developer, not just the coding technical side of things, also we'll do a bunch of learning and sort of growth and communication skills in there as well, but you also have access to a lot of professional skills and help you through this process to get ready for the job application process. It's an entirely new set of skills. Some of you might already be quite practiced at it, but it's something that's important that we cover. So the skills are not just the technical skills, but they're also professional career skills as well. And backed by all of this, we are super confident in our ability to help you get there, is that we have a money back guarantee as well. Next slide, please, Patrick. Thank you. So we've organized the curriculum in these chunks and thinking about the things that you'll be needing to do. And so here are the five modules that you'll be experiencing in the course. And so with your cohort, you'll travel through these modules one by one and thinking about these different areas. So the main thing to take away is that we cover essentially the whole stack, right? From everything that a user can see and then all that data that then goes from an interaction that a user has in an application through all the different services that take care of that before they then see a result. So we go through the whole technical stack, getting you understanding, familiar with it, building it, evaluating it, and then creating your own versions of it. So we go through this whole process, and we end making sure that you have a really good interview preparation. Next slide. And a little bit more about the actual specific module. So we start off on the sort of very high level, thinking about the end of the course and how we're trying to think about those 6 months. An individual module, as we said, is quite practice driven. And this slide is just to show you the way that we've been thinking about things, is that there's both learning, making sure that we understand concepts, but we then apply it. We're really focusing on that learn by doing, so you get to actually do a lot of work every day. Yeah, one more slide, please. So a typical day, if you think about your 6 months, it's not just 700 hours of learning, but you'll have both the morning and the afternoon. So over 6 months, you'll pick up a lot of experience just by doing both the morning and the afternoon. So the way that we split out the day is morning is really focused on watching and learning from your expert morning teaching team, demonstrate and code and talk about the skills that are being worked on, and then you get to practice it. And then in the afternoon, we set individual exercises to cement that knowledge. And these are assessed and graded to give you feedback in order to know how to improve. So the morning is about demonstration, about understanding, about watching, observing, and practicing. And in the afternoon is all about practice in the exercises. Yeah, next slide. So after our first module, if you remember back a couple of slides ago, we were thinking about HTML and CSS. This is a static version of Spotify. It's just the layout and be able to have good command over positioning and layout using HTML and CSS. And this is what I think Lenny's with us at the moment, right? And this is what something that her cohort was doing last week. Cool. Next slide, please. So one of the things I was talking about in terms of feedback and assessment, a really important part of this process is that we're giving feedback and we get visibility, and you have visibility of your progress. So the main takeaway here is we use a custom built our own tool called Montessori. Some of you who come from an education background know some of the relationships there. The point of this is every exercise that you do in the afternoon, we will grade. We'll give you a quick bit of feedback. It's usually on a very quick scale. You're fine, you're flying, or you need some support. So those are the color codes there. The gray that you can see that person at the top there, we haven't graded. But this is an example of the way that we're tracking progress, and so you should have confidence that we have visibility over everyone's progress daily. And we make adjustments based on this, right? Cool. Next slide. Yeah, that's basically it. So it's a quick run through of the kinds of things that we'll be doing on the course. And before I hand over to Patrick, again, throw into the Q&A any questions that you have, and we can come to them in the Q&A about the course itself. All right, Patrick.
Awesome. Back to me. Yes, I'll talk you quickly through the career services. So obviously the 6 months you spend learning with us are super invaluable. They are the majority of the reason, or a large part of the reason why you're here. But equally valuable are the 6 months that we spend supporting you to try and find a job. The aim is to get you a job much quicker than 6 months, but there's the kind of the security that you know that we are there for up to 6 months after you finish to work with you to find that first job in tech. The hard work doesn't stop. As many of you who have job hunted or job searched will know, it is a tough job. It is a job in its own right. And this is for us why having the careers advisors and having the careers support is so important, and why we put so much effort into it. So we have a team of career advisors at Boolean, which we continue to grow. Their role is to kind of support you in the journey that you're taking to find a job. This is a role that I'm very close with at the moment, in particular in the UK, and I'm working with the most recently finished cohort to help them find their first jobs. And indeed, we already have a number of them who have jobs already. So we're pleased to see that it's working. What it kind of looks like, Tijani touched on this. First point, personal branding. You know, how do you get that interview in the first place? How do you kind of come across well on social media, on your LinkedIn, on your GitHub, on your portfolio, and that kind of thing? We'll give you training on interviews. So all of our cohort 1 students have had a practice tech interview with the instructors to simulate what it's like to have one of those tech interviews. And I've also been running the behavioral style interviews sessions for anyone who wants it. And more generally, tech career training, what does that mean? I guess trying to build up a picture of this new industry for you. I guess a lot of people come from different industries, like Raphael, you mentioned, from hospitality, maybe as aware of kind of how the tech industry operates, what different roles are out there, where your career can go as well, what directions it can move in. So there's kind of training and work to help you understand where you might want to go with that as well. This is also embedded into the course. We run 3 career sessions during the course from month 4 onwards. And then after the course, we run weekly check-ins whilst you're job hunting to help you stay on track and stay on focus. Ooh, has that worked? Oops. Yeah, and the final thing to note is our Boolean hiring platform. So this is another custom-built software that we created. The purpose, of course, is to help our students get jobs. It's completely free to companies to sign up. They can come on, they can browse your profile, as you can see here on the left. They can see your LinkedIn, your GitHub, and your CV, and they're able to get in touch with you directly. So we're working to get many companies signed up to this. We've already got some exciting names on there, like Trainline and Culture Trip. Yeah, we think this is a really great value add for people that come to Boolean, because this is proprietary, and this is just for Boolean grads. I jumped the gun. You saw. How much is the course? This is the next section that we're going to cover. So you've heard what it is. You've heard what we deliver. Let's get to the juicy bit. What does it cost? So our pricing at the moment is £6,500, which is inclusive of VAT. This is our introductory price for 2021. This is a price that we set as we launched in the UK, and for this year, this was a price that we thought was a great way for us to enter and kind of establish ourselves here in the UK. There's a long list here of all the things that includes. I won't read them out, but we'll share these slides afterwards, so you can kind of take a look and remind yourself of the value that you're getting. I guess the key part to note is we have one more course happening in 2021, which is happening in November the 10th. So in a few weeks' time. This is the last time that we'll be pricing the course at this price. From 2022, it will be going up in line with the market value compared to competitors, which is what we'll touch on later on in this call. But just a key thing to note there is, you know, if you want to get in, then November's your last chance to get in at this price. So we highly encourage you to get in touch through the application process, which Kate's going to touch on in just a moment. One thing we've mentioned, but not really dived into, is the money back guarantee. What is this? Is it all a load of, marketing talk or not? No, in fact, this is something that we really stand by. What we're trying to say here is that we really believe in what we do, from the admissions to the teaching to the placement. We think we trust ourselves, we trust our process. And so we think if you put in the hard work too, you will get a job. And if you don't get a job, something went wrong, and we're happy to give your money back in those cases. What we do ask, though, is that you did put in the hard work. And so there is obviously some eligibility criteria. There's nothing crazy here. There's no sort of, hidden formula or anything like that. It's pretty clear. Did you do the course? Did you turn up and did you do the exercises? Did you apply for jobs? Did you speak to your career coach? Did you come to the meetings with your careers advisor? The one that's kind of the key, I suppose, is the right to work in the UK and Ireland. But we're not in a position to help with visas at the moment. That's not something that we can offer. So we do ask that as a requirement for the money back guarantee. That's something that we're not able to support with. If you do need a visa, you will still get all of the career support from us. We'll do everything we can to help you feel prepared for interviews. We just won't be able to offer you the money back guarantee. And then an ability to commute within reason. So this is just an idea that, being remote, the beauty of remote is that we can reach people across the country, indeed across Europe. We have people across Europe as well. Some people will live kind of further away from some of the larger tech centers. And so it's an idea that, if you live in sort of the middle of the Scottish Highlands or something, that you have an ability to commute within reason. So nothing crazy, but into the nearest sort of town or city that has jobs. And finally, what are the options for paying? Pretty simple. We have an installment plan where you can spread the cost over 6 months with a deposit, as it says there, of £2,500 and 5 months of £800. You can pay up front if you prefer to, the peace of mind, get it all out of the way. Or indeed, if you prefer to finance the course, we work with CourseBud. They are a loan broker technically, but they have a list of loan providers who are more focused on educational loans. So the idea being that the interest rates are slightly higher, but you're more likely to get the loan because they understand the situation of someone who's taking out money for educational purposes. If you're interested in learning more about CourseBud, speak to us about this during admissions interview. But essentially, it works like any other loan. You borrow the money, you pay it, and then you make the repayments over whatever the repayment terms are that you agree. And those are our 3 pretty simple payment options. Kate, I'll pass to you to talk through the application process.
I'm up. Yes, so how do you apply? Patrick, yeah, that's great, thank you. So first of all, you need to head over to our website where you'll fill in a short questionnaire. This gives you the opportunity to tell us why you want to join Boolean. So, really good opportunity there, write why you want to join us. Then you need to book in an interview with us. That will be around 30 minutes and it'll be with myself. The third stage is our screening process. So you'll need to pass a short logic test and then come to the interview with me. At the interview, I will ask you about your motivations to join the course, your goals for the future, and you'll also get a chance to ask me any questions that you have too. What happens next? So hopefully we will welcome you aboard by offering you a place on the course, and then that will set you off on your new career path. Maybe the next. Oh yeah, okay, great. So as Patrick mentioned earlier, our next course start date is November the 10th. So you have just over a week and a half to get your applications in. It's the last cohort of the year, as Patrick mentioned, and our process will be going up for next year. So get applying.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. I'm just going to touch on one final thing, which is a sort of little comparison of how we compare to the other routes that you might take to start a career in tech. And then we'll hand over the floor to Q&A. So this is a table that sort of summarizes some of the key differences between what we would say the main other routes into tech would be, which would be other boot camps. So, you know, we kind of class ourselves as a sort of tech academy, but you have the boot camps, which are a little bit shorter, and university, of course, a computer science degree, a software engineering degree, that kind of thing. So first thing to note, the length of time. What we found is that in 12 weeks, you can learn some of the basics of coding, but why we decided to go for 6 months is that we really feel we can deep dive and get you a really solid understanding of some of these concrete skills and concepts, and also start to train some of those programming skills as well. You don't need to put your life on hold for 3 years like at university. We're still in that kind of like speeded up accelerated learning, if you like. Price point, we're super competitive at the moment, where you get double the length of time of most of the boot camps for significantly cheaper compared to some of them that range up to sort of £10,000–11,000. And of course, university, let's forget about it. When it comes to the cost, it is crazy expensive, as anyone who's been through will attest to. I myself, yeah, still paying that student loan. Happy days. We're the only one that we know of that has a money back guarantee in the UK at the moment. So that's something that we're really proud of. Career services, we do really well. Boot camps, I would say in general, do this really well. It's a really big part of their offering is to find you a job. Universities instead, it's not exactly their core offering. It's more about the kind of the education itself rather than getting you a job. We chose modern curriculum for us because a lot of the boot camps sort of teach, let's say, technology that isn't as popular at the moment. Ruby is a very common programming language to learn at boot camps, even though it's a very low share of the market in terms of hiring. We instead wrote our curriculum in 2021. We focus on in-demand technologies, JavaScript, React, TypeScript, Node. These are technologies that are topping the lists of most popular programming languages and technologies in the UK and indeed in the hiring market. Practical skills and CS fundamentals, we tried to make a bit of a blend between being super focused on the practicals like boot camps are and unlike universities are, as you mentioned, Raphael, earlier on, but also trying to introduce some of that theory. We're 6 months. We have the opportunity to dive into this a little bit, which you don't necessarily get on those shorter courses. Of course, with university, you get tons and tons of theory, but we try to touch on sort of the most important parts. And the final thing that Ed touched on, which I think is really, really worth hammering home, it's that online delivery is not just Zoom lectures. There needs to be an infrastructure, processes in place to maintain a sense of community and a sense of kind of, culture, but also for us to be able to monitor and track progress and make sure that we catch any students that may be struggling or falling behind. And the fact that we've been doing this since we started in 2018, when remote was a bit of a new thing back then, compared to the boot camps that have kind of just moved online, or the universities that have just moved online because of COVID, we think is a really important distinction to make. I'll leave the screen up just for a second. We have some lovely QR codes. I'm really pleased these have made a comeback since lockdown. If you want to check out our FAQs, if you want to check out our full course curriculum, or indeed if you're sold, you can't wait to apply, there are 3 QR codes there for whichever path you may take. It feels a bit like the Matrix, doesn't it? Which one you're going to go for? All right, hopefully that was long enough for you to get out your phone and snap a pic. If not, we're sharing these slides afterwards, so you'll be able to come back to this. Let's hand over the floor. We've rattled through that in about 40 minutes.
It's out until 7, so we have
have 20 minutes of Q&A. We'll try to be quick with time. But yeah, let's roll through. I can see you've got a ton of questions already. Ed, are you happy to moderate this a little bit?
Yeah, we can both have a good go at it. But do you want me to shout them out to you, and then I can just make sure they get answered? Click on the button. So the first question we have here, Patrick, is: has Boolean had success with alumni landing any FANG or similar roles? Any of the big group?
Sorry, my headphones went a bit crazy, but I heard, have our alumni had any success finding roles? Yeah,
well, and specifically thinking about the big group of tech companies: Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Google. What's the N? I can never remember. Netflix, right?
Netflix, I believe, isn't it? Yeah. Great question. Yeah, as we mentioned earlier on, we've already had three of the students off our first cohort finding jobs. So we're really happy with that. They finished the course on the 1st of October. So we're 19 days in to their job search, and really pleased at that. And tons of other people, Tijani included, getting lots of interviews and getting lots of interest from recruiters and companies that are hiring. So yeah, absolutely, it works, and we're really pleased. To see this. For the FANG specifically, so I used to work for another bootcamp for around three and a half years in their placement team. So working to get the students jobs at the end of the course, working with hundreds of students in that time. What I can say pretty safely is I've never seen anybody walk out of a bootcamp into a FANG company. There are many reasons for this, but I think top of the list is just they are so in demand. They are so they have their share of the market. Pretty much everybody wants to work there. That they are hyper selective, and most of them sort of have their bar for junior developers set at people with 2 or 3 years experience already. Some of them have specific initiatives to get people involved, so internship schemes and that kind of thing, which are usually unavailable for bootcamp students because they run those kind of in tandem with sort of other initiatives that they're doing. However, I have also seen people go to work for those FANG companies once they finish the bootcamp, once they've got a couple of years experience under their belt, and then move into those companies. So it is absolutely possible in your career trajectory. It would be highly unlikely, and I would buy you a beverage of your choice if you did go in straight after bootcamp. That'd be super impressive.
I'll remember that, Patrick.
A beverage of your choice under £10.
You might get more than one beer. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I think that was a really great answer. Good question. Good answer, Patrick. What separates? Next question. What separates Boolean from a more traditional online learning course, for example, Treehouse Tech Degree or Codecademy Pro? Let me take this one. So you probably already gathered. You probably already have an answer for this question. It's not online learning as you might already have experienced it. It's not like you go online, look at a self-paced course, and you go through some exercises and things like that. This is very much a live, delivered in a cohort with the community. We all sign on in the morning. We quick stand up. We run through some skill sessions. I'll share my screen. We'll do some code. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. We practice. We come back in the afternoon. Again, we go through a similar process. So it's a live a community environment where we learn together, and really focusing on all these skills. So when you think of online, think of it as just like the medium rather than like the way that the content is, if that makes sense. It's all our own content that we share and we provide with you, but we practice it together and we review it together, we discuss it together. All right. Next question, and definitely feel free to follow up with these questions if you want. Elliot says, can you get a student loan to pay for the course? Patrick.
Great question, Elliot. So as we mentioned on that financing slide, we work with CourseBud. You can't go through the student loans company as you can with universities, but we do work with CourseBud, who provides a loan, more typically sort of like a loan as you would get from your bank. So yeah, we were able to offer that option, but not a student loan as you might know it from university.
Cool. I have a question from Andrea. I think maybe this would be an interesting question to ask Lenny or to Johnny or Raphael, and their answer to this question. Why should I choose Boolean instead of another bootcamp? Let's start with Lenny, because you're the most recent. You probably remember that decision more better.
So I don't actually know a lot about other boot camps because I kind of looked at Boolean and went, yes, that's the one for me. But from my little experience that I do know, it's a lot more personal. I interact with the teachers a lot more than I suppose I would in any other boot camp. I did normal Code Academy not too long ago for Python, and that was a bit, wasn't very fun. I didn't get to talk to anyone and have friendships and cohorts and beautiful things like that. Yeah, I'd say the community, which was what was sort of brought up before with the treehouse one.
Thanks, Annie. It's a lovely answer. I want to hear maybe from Rafa. Go for it, Rafa.
Yeah, I would agree with Lenny as well. I've done some Code Academy as well, the non-paid one,
yeah.
But just to see how it is. And it is just they explain what they're teaching, and then you just do exercise. But it's maybe if you get stuck, you just probably will be stuck for a very long time, because you have to go through the internet to search something. It is not as she said, it is not personal, the curriculum is very nice, as you've got the lectures in the morning, you can ask questions, get the fundamentals and everything, and then in the afternoon you just practice whatever you've learned, and then you're just okay, yeah, I've just seen this, but I thought I understood, but I don't quite. So then you can just go to the support and, guys, I'm stuck at this, what's happening. They'll guide you through if it's needed. We go in a pair room, one-to-one. So we share screens, and it's way much easier to to get a deep knowledge. And also most of the boot camps I've seen, it's not that I know as well, but it's as they say before, it's 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I wouldn't know if I will learn everything I need to in 12 weeks, which is 3 months. I'm already on my 4th to 5th, and I know it's a very long path. So I wouldn't feel prepared in a 12 weeks course. So that was my choice. That's the reason of my choice.
Lovely. Thanks, Rafa. And bring up some good points there. To Johnny, you want to chip in? You don't have to. I feel I now have to invite you to speak.
I would just say the learning by doing aspect of it is the number one reason why you should choose Boolean other than some other bootcamp, because you learn so much by just doing things and playing with things, breaking things, fixing them. So definitely that'll be the one reason. And also, yes, you have a lot of support of fantastic teachers and teaching assistants who work with this on a day-to-day basis. However, yeah, they will not feed you the answer, but that's the fun of it. And if you really enjoy that, you will have so much fun.
Thanks to Johnny. You're absolutely right. We won't spoon feed you, but we will support you and we will help you. But you're absolutely right. Another part of that question, just before it's already disappeared, is that try to not think of this as a boot camp. It's a 6-month experience, and so just distinguish that in your mind if you're thinking about it. Is that you have a boot camp which is 12 months. 6 months isn't really a boot camp. It's too long. It's half a year. It's an important decision to make about how you want to spend your time to learn the skills and behaviors required to get a software developer role. Cool. Another question is from George. More generally, what percentage of Boolean would you say is more self-discovery, self-teaching versus virtual classes? Apologies for the barrage of questions. Great question again. We can probably answer this quite quickly. Is that it's a mixture. All right. We want to encourage your ability to diagnose what you need, go out and get it to help that process, because that's one of the best skills you can actually display when you're on the job. right? The ability to rapidly learn and acquire information in order to finish tasks and projects. But we will spend a lot of the time working in groups, workshopping skills together. So led by coaches. So as we saw in the earlier slides, there is a lot of coach-led sessions to help set up new skills and projects in the morning. So it's both. I want to make sure that we know your expectation is set, that there will be a lot of that sort of self-directed learning, but it's mostly in the afternoon that you do that with support of teachers in a scaffolded, supportive learning environment.
Can I just say quickly, I especially experienced this over COVID during my A-levels. There was a lot of self-learning that I had to do for that, and I was absolutely terrible at it. I'm so bad at self-learning. But in Boolean, you're given the support that you need, you're given the resources that you need. We've been told that there's helpful websites to get stuff from. There's not pressure, which is what I struggled with. So you're probably going to do okay too.
Thanks, Lenny. COVID's tough, huh? Now, Jason asks, hey, just a quick one. What's the pass rate for the course? This is an interesting question. Our cohort 1 has just finished, so only a few weeks ago, and they're starting to get jobs. And we've had a few with job offers, which is fantastic. So it really depends on how you measure the pass rate. Is it how many people are getting jobs? How many people finish the course? There's an interesting segue into what happens if you don't keep up, what happens if the course is not right for you, and there are strategies in place to help you make sure that you're progressing at the right speed, or making sure that you make a good choice earlier, which is if it's not right for you, we help you offboard to make sure you don't spend your money and your time in a way that's not right for you. It doesn't happen that often, but there are different ways we can talk about success on the course, right? So again, it's probably too early to tell what is the pass rate. We probably would mostly measure this on making sure that we get you into a job, right? Patrick, what are your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, not much more to add other than, the admissions, the purpose of the admissions process is two-way to understand, one, is this the right course for you? And two, are you the right candidate for this course? And we try and work that question out together to ensure that, if you do take this course, it's a big commitment of your time, of your money, of your decision to change career, that it's the right one. And as Ed said, if we work out during the course that isn't the right path for you, it's about, well, first of all, is this something we can fix? Is this something we can turn around? Can we put an individual learning plan in place for you? And second of all, if that's not the route that's going to go down, then how do we make the transition off the course as simple, as easy as possible? And yeah, there's been a couple of students that we've gone through that process with. But yeah, as Ed said, probably too early to put figures on it.
Cool. We have 5 minutes until 7 o'clock. Let's almost want to try and prioritize these questions, but maybe let's just keep going in order. We've got a few. And Mirko says, hello, I'm from Italy, and I'd like to participate in your bootcamp. Do you accept European students? Is it a problem to find companies with the ability to sponsor skilled worker visa or similar visas? Thanks, team. Patrick.
Ciao, Mirko. You can absolutely join us from Italy. We have a couple of people in Switzerland at the moment on our cohort 3, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, absolutely. We also have a network of partners in Italy, of course, if you did want to stay in Italy and find work. We can't support with visas, and as yet we haven't had anyone finish the course who is outside of the UK, so it's hard to say what that process is going to look like. Anecdotally, from working, like I said, at my previous bootcamp, the people who struggled were people who had, were from further afield countries. I'm thinking of sort of like people from Asia tended to struggle with visas. The whole kind of Brexit thing, really, really hard to say at the moment, kind of what that's going to look like with the visa situation. But yeah, essentially, we'll do everything that we can to support you to find a job. What we won't be able to do is on the visa side of things, but finding the right companies, feeling prepared for interviews, getting a beautiful looking CV, that's all stuff that we are able to support with.
Cool. Next question from George. With regards to this, I've noticed, this is probably from a previous question, I've noticed you have a hiring platform. What kind of companies do you have partnered with you, and what's a typical process look like from hiring platform to hired? Yeah,
great question, George. Typically, I would say small and medium enterprises, so companies up to around 500, 600, 700 employees are the ones that we're working with at the moment. I mentioned a couple of names. Trainline and Culture Trip are probably the more famous ones that you've heard of that are on our hiring platform at the moment. How does it work? It's pretty self-service at the moment for companies. They have my contact details if they need support, but we kind of let them work through the platform, interact however they like with the students on there, get in touch, and get the student to join their interview process, and then eventually make the decision whether they want to hire them or not. So it's pretty slick, pretty easy, pretty self-service for them to do that.
Nice. And Bacona says or asks, on average, how soon after do Boolean graduates get employed?
Great question. In Italy, where we have this data, where we've been running for 3 years and have kind of graduated hundreds of students, the average time to hire is 2 months. Within 2 months, the majority of people are getting jobs. In the UK, we're only 3 weeks into our job hunting journey with our first cohort, and we're seeing around 25% of them that have jobs or job offers. So let's see. Let's see. 2 months is the time to beat, and I'm very keen to show Italy that we're a lot better.
Good answer. And Nassim says, what type of recognized qualification could you get with Boolean? Do you want to have a stab at this, Patrick, and then I'll give my take on this?
Yeah, we give a certificate of attendance. We kind of chose not to go down the recognized qualification route. It involves a lot of jumping through hoops and ticking boxes in order to be regulated by whether it's Ofsted or the Department for Education or whoever it is that regulates these things. They tend to be more about kind of grading and assessment and reporting rather than about actual learning objectives. So we chose to avoid that route. Should you want to go down that route, you would be you'd be able to go into a level 4, 5 or 6 apprenticeship if that's the route you want to go down. You'd be able to do a sort of I think they do these like short masters courses online these days as well, micro masters I think they're called. You'd be able to kind of go down those routes if you wanted to kind of pursue recognized qualification. And the final thing I'd add is the most likely thing that you would do is on the job training. Your company might sponsor you to do an AWS course or a Scrum certification or something like that. So you would of course be able to do that as well. Typically companies pay for that.
Cool, sufficiently answered, I think. Thanks, Patrick. Roughly how many students are in each cohort? At the moment, I think the rough figure is probably 14. Yeah, 14, 15. Per the 3 cohorts that we've had so far, and we're looking to get to 15 to 20 for this next cohort. That's our target. Chris says, I'm considering Boolean. It's 7 o'clock now, so just FYI on time. All right. Chris says, I'm considering Boolean in order to learn how to build a CRM style piece of software for my own business. How much of the course is dedicated to mobile development and finding a job at the end of it, as these are not things I need? Is there maybe a more appropriate course for my situation? That's an interesting question, but I'm going to offline it, or maybe I'll type an answer to it later. Right? I don't think it's quite as relevant for everyone else. The quick answer for this part is we don't do any mobile development, but the answer to a more appropriate course is interesting to understand more about what you need. All right, Chris? Answer right, done. George says, to clarify, George, you've asked lots of questions. I like it. Asking questions is fantastic.
Joyous George.
And I love questions. Questions is the best tool to have to get information, right? And so to clarify, the money back guarantee, does this cover for a role in software development, or will this become null and void when going into any employment, i.e. unrelated to the course? Interesting question. Patrick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, great question. I believe in the contract, the way that we word it is if you go into full-time employment in a software development role, then obviously that means that you've successfully achieved the goal of joining us. I believe also if you choose not to pursue software development anymore and choose to go into another role, then that also counts as obviously you finding a job. If you were to take a kind of part-time role or something like that to kind of to help with finances whilst you're on the job hunt, that would not null and void your money back guarantee at all. But as soon as you choose to pursue a full-time career path, that's when it's kind of null and void.
Nice. This meeting is recorded and we can send this out. All right. Right, Patrick? Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Can you send a live class link? Did you put all videos in your website? During the training part of the course, we will always send like live links so people can join for Zoom and things like that. And we will upload all recordings of sessions every day. So you have access to both the recordings and then the exercises that happen for your review. All right. Do you provide algorithm-based training for technical interviews? Really fantastic question. So the answer to this is yes, and it depends. It depends on what you mean by algorithm. So what we do is we talk about algorithm complexity. And so you might have, if you have some understanding about this, we think about the way that we can describe complexity using notation, specifically big O notation, and thinking about the different kinds of algorithms as a result of this. We look at this and also in the idea of different sorts and searches, and that's the extent to which we dive into that for a standard part of the course. Now that's standard. Now I'm always happy and really excited by any students who want to come and say, I want to do more, and we can go investigate it. All right. So there's a standard set that we do, and then there's, if you're interested, I'm very happy to help facilitate that process with anyone. Chris says, will I be able to sign up at this price, our current price, but for a course starting next year? Patrick.
Yeah, great question, Chris. This would most likely be case by case. So what I would say is apply, speak to our lovely admissions manager, Kate, and we'll be able to work out with you if that's possible. Most likely, yes, but it'll be case by case.
Nice. Arisa says, I see that most curriculums of coding schools, boot camps, are designed in a course of 3 months. Is Boolean's course designed like other boot camps that split into 6 months to take more time or learn more in a similar fast pace? And we have more time, so we learn more. And think of the compounding effect that 6 months has. It ends up being a much stronger offering and a foundation for you to then build your tech career off of when we spend 6 months rather than just 3. So there's less pressure, I think, as Lenny was mentioning, because you have more time, and that's always a really good thing to reduce any sort of outside stresses to the learning process. But we're still learning. It is still an intensive course, right? And there's still lots to do. There's always, there's an infinite amount of work that we can do, but we try and make sure we always focus on the skills and behaviors of a software developer at a good level. So I've done. Patrick, for you, how much will the course go up by in 2022?
Yeah, great question, Dan. We haven't fixed on a number, but to give you an idea of the ballpark, we looked at the cost per week of us compared to boot camps, and typically what we're seeing is the cost per week of Boolean right now is £250 per week. And if you compare it to the average for the other boot camps that we're seeing is between £550 and £750. So what we're seeing is we will try to align with the market a little bit better, but we're not going to go crazy. So you can expect it to go up, but it's unlikely to be around crazy numbers.
Cool.
Non-committal as possible.
Good answer. Fred, I can see you raising your hand. If you want to just add in a question instead, because I don't think I can call on you. So just add in a question if you want. I'm happy to stick around. I think we're happy to stick around for a while yet, right, Patrick? So I'm not going to end just now.
Yeah, Yeah, anyone that needs to go, please feel free as well.
So we're very happy to keep answering questions, but yeah. John says, is the number of students limited for cohort 4?
Yeah, we won't take the maximum that we'll take would be 20 to 25. We need to basically ensure we've got enough staffing on the teaching side, and we try and keep a ratio of roughly one teacher to roughly sort of 10 or so students. So we don't want to exceed this number. So yeah, around 20 to 25 would be the max that we'd take for cohort 4.
Cool. Answered. Will the course cover fundamental data structures and algorithms as well? Let me answer the slide. Shruti says, will the course cover fundamentals of data structures and algorithms as well? Yes, the fundamentals. So we'll cover all the main sort of common data structures, and then we'll do a few more of the more technical ones, as well as some of the algorithm complexity fundamentals that I was talking about. So this is all designed to help you sort of excel and delight in interviews, so you can demonstrate this knowledge, or if you're interested as well, just theoretically. And the main focus here is, again, trying to make sure that you're prepared technically for any interviews that you're going through. What's the rate of employment after the boot camps, please? Another question, Patrick, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think we touched on this earlier, but essentially in Italy, where we have this data, it's 95% employment rate after the bootcamp. Here in the UK, we are still early days. The aim is 100. That's what we're aiming for.
Shruti says, in the course, is there an option to learn back-end or mobile development instead of web development? This is a really interesting question. Web development, I want you to think of this course as not just web development. This is more accurately described as full stack, so we cover all areas. Right? What we don't touch on mobile development. We focus mostly on understanding how data flows from a client to a server in different architectures, and then making sure that we are able to design applications that are nice to use as a result. So we go through the whole stack, thinking about data storage in different kinds of ways, and the different architectures that we can have. So it's not just web development. Think of it more as full stack, and we don't do mobile development. Shruti, do you have partnerships with companies for hiring? Patrick?
Yeah, absolutely. We're working with companies. The majority to get them on our hiring platform. That's the easiest way that we're going to be able to work with them. But we're also speaking to some companies about designing specific programs as well. So there's a lot happening on the employer side of things. As with everything on the placement side, this is still in the early phases. But we're looking to continue to grow what we're doing with companies.
Abana says, hi guys, what PC or laptop do you need in spec-wise? Yeah, great question. Usually any mid-range, a laptop or machine that you have is absolutely fine. So some specific specs is like any mid-range processor is probably like is going to be absolutely fine. Even sort of like the lower end usually is absolutely fine. Usually the most important thing is to make sure you have enough memory to store all the different kinds of applications that we'll be using. So about 250, maybe 500 is safer in terms of the amount of storage that you have. More importantly, rather than the PC or laptop, is your internet connection. That's usually a much more important definer of your experience here at Boolean UK. So I would prioritize that over trying to get like a high spec machine, for example. Freddie Stoker says, what is the average salary?
Quickly, it needs to be able to do virtualization, because one thing I had a problem with my laptop, I had to move over to my PC. Didn't do virtualization, which you need for the Linux that we work on.
Cool. It sounds like you're using Windows and you wanted to activate the subsystem for Linux. Is that what you're talking about, Lenny?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Thanks. Freddie says, what's the average salary of the 3 people that have got a job so far?
let's talk more generally about the average salaries that you can expect in the UK. Average salary for junior developers in London is between 30 and 35,000. Average salaries for junior developers outside of London is between 25 and 30,000. There are some places that might try and fleece you in the low 20s. Do not let them. We will do work with you to support you on salary negotiation, which is an important part of the process of finding a job and finding a job that you're happy with. But yeah, you can expect 25 to 30 if you're outside of London, 30 to 35 if you're in the capital. Indeed, in the largest cities are starting to catch up as well. I'm seeing people in Manchester and Edinburgh as well getting those kind of prices.
Federico asks, how can I ask questions directly and not here at the open day?
Yes, feel free to get in touch with us. hello@boolean.co.uk is the best place to go for emails. We also have at the bottom of our apply page, if you ever want to leave us a video or an audio recording, we can get back to you on that. And I think at the bottom of the page it says got any questions. If you hit that button, you'll be able to send us questions.
With regards to CS fundamentals, what do we touch on? I think I touched on this slightly earlier. As standard as part of a course, the common and more odd data structures that get asked in technical interviews sometimes, and some fundamental algorithmic complexity. Those are the things that we'll touch on. Anything else further than that, I'm always happy to help students learn. So definitely let me know, but that's as part of standard that we'll do. Federico, we've already answered that. Two more questions. John says, if you can't make it for one or more days of the course, for example, traveling to help with a family problem, how will you be able to catch up for that day or days? Okay, this is interesting. It's a 6-month course, so inevitably life happens, right? So as part of your experience, managing your time is going to be important. So communication is key to making sure that you're letting the team know about what's happening. Now, your main focus, your main priority is to get a job. I imagine, or to be able to come here and study with us at Boolean UK. So trying to make sure you're always choosing a way to prioritize and your actions in line with that makes sense. Inevitably, if you have to help, that's fine, just let us know. And catching up, all the material that we have is recorded and available to you, so you can just do a little bit more time, even on the weekends or outside of the normal hours from 9 to 6. So that's usually how things have been happening at the moment. But always try and think about your experience of 6 months as your main priority should be learning.
Maybe Raphael or Lenny, I don't know if you've had this where you've missed a day and potentially had to catch up. What's your experience been like?
I haven't really had that issue, but there have been a couple of times where people on my cohort have. And as far as I know, you get support from not only the teachers, but the rest of the cohort as well. So you've got everyone backing you up, giving you the information you need, but it is preferable to not miss it.
Yeah, exactly. For my side as well, I think I missed one afternoon, if I'm not wrong. And that was an exercise, like an afternoon exercise. So then I think I was just catching up on those Sunday, if I'm not wrong, like just reading for the support channel and everything. And then on Monday, I just finished it like very early, and it was like fine. Yeah.
Nice. George says, out of curiosity, are video meetings via your platform or via third party like Zoom or Hangouts? Video meetings during training are through Zoom primarily, and or through Discord. So Discord is our main sort of community building message platform that we help organize the cohorts. So some of you might have experienced it or used it at the moment. So it will either be Zoom or Discord. Sometimes Google Hangouts if some of the staff members want to reach out to you, because we use Google as for our workspace. So it's primarily Zoom, sometimes Discord, and very rarely Google Hangouts. More questions. Every time I pop one, another one pops up. It's great. Keep going. It's like whack-a-mole. Dan says, using the cost per week you provide us per other companies, e.g. from 500 to 750 pounds per week. For 6 months, it would cost between 12. Someone's got a calculator out doing some maths.
Love this, Dan.
Absolutely.
This is so thorough.
You said you're going to rise your prices in line with this. Can we expect the cost to be around this price then? Patrick, I'm going to leave you on this one.
Yeah. Essentially, the cost per week is a really useful measurement tool, but it's definitely not the only measurement tool that we're going to use to help us price a fair value for our course. And two things that we want to keep in mind are, one, a fair price, a fair value that reflects the value of the course, but also the value of the market. And two is providing financing opportunities that make it even more affordable, actually, despite an increase in price. So we're working with some companies at the moment to flesh out what that could look like. The short answer is it would be highly unlikely for us to reach the figures that you've written here. We're more likely to be in the gap that we've suggested that the bootcamp space offers. The sort of like 7,000-8,000 to 10,000. That sort of figure is much more likely than the 12 to 18,000. But as we said, we'll be working to find a number that's fair, that's equitable, that reflects the value for money that you're getting for the course, but as well as the other factors that we mentioned.
There's always an opportunity cost, right, for another 3 months of training comparison to other boot camps. But also we're entirely remote, so we have different costs, and your costs will be different as well. So there's as Patrick said, there's a bunch of different variables in here. This is just to try and think about this in a good and fair way. One of our sort of company values is sort of accountability and student focus, and we're always trying to make sure that we're doing things in that way as well. And it's a really great question, Dan. George says, do you have all the use of Slack or similar tools? I think I mentioned we have used Discord instead of Slack. So that's our main messaging tool. Also, do Cohort members tend to create projects outside of Boolean and contribute to open source? That's a fantastic question. Tend to create projects. So Cohort members definitely create their own projects. Sometimes towards the end of the course, once they've sort of really had a good number of skills. And part of the course is designed to allow you opportunity to explore and create your own projects. That's still within Boolean, right? As part of your learning experience. Side projects are always encouraged. It's always an opportunity to learn as well. So a number of students have side projects they like to develop as well. Contribution to open source is another good question, and I don't have an answer for you because I'm unaware of knowing which students are contributing to different projects. I'd like to believe it, but I can't give you an answer on that one. Tijani, do you have any side projects? Raphael, any side projects at the moment? You don't have to say yes. Tijani's not here. He's already gone. Rafa?
Yeah, not really. Yeah, now I'm very focused on just like all of the content that we're learning, and then like we do have our own project as well, like inside Boolean, which I think it's fair enough. Like we because we practice everything we've learned, so I'm not really like having any other time actually to focus on any other side project. I'm just focused on the main one. So yeah, not really.
Cool. Patrick, I read industry talks are included. What are those?
Yeah, industry talks are basically a way for us to get you to I guess to meet other people, to hear from other people who are working in tech. So we try and make these as diverse as possible. So we've had a lady called Charmaine come in who's completing an apprenticeship at the moment. She recently finished another boot camp. So it was great to hear from her experience, how she's broken into the world of tech from a similar background to the background of most of our students. Our last one was with Zach from Google. He's a machine learning engineer. He did a bit of a demo on how to set up a machine learning model using some of the Google tools, which is really cool. We've had people come in and talk from Facebook, from Capita, who are like senior engineers, senior developers, talking about what they hire for, what their journey into tech was like. So yeah, it's just basically back to that kind of tech careers training. What is this industry you're breaking into? Who's there? How do you get a part of it? How do you find out more information?
Nice. Answered live, done. I'm going to answer that by text, done. Last question so far, we'll see. George, I've also noticed competitors like Wagon, etc. George, keep going with these questions. I expect another few more questions from you. Also noticed they have demo days. Is this something Boolean does? Patrick?
We didn't run one for Cohort 1. It's something that we are thinking about. It's a nice model. It needs to be done correctly. We have a graduation ceremony and a kind of a project presentation within the cohort, which I think is really valuable and really important. It doesn't make sense to invite companies or invite external people to that one, because I think it takes away from the value that it has of sharing that within your cohort with your teachers. And really, I guess the underlying question is, how do we present you, to the wider world? The hiring platform does a great job of that. We're working with a company called Drupal, who are like an online portfolio creator. So I think quite a few of our Cohort 1 have put their projects on Drupal, and we'll continue to explore the most efficient way to do this. I like the idea of demo days. It's something that we did at my previous bootcamp. They have their pros and cons. But yeah, it's definitely something we're looking to.
Nice. No open questions. There we are, folks.
Woo! Well done, everyone. There was some 59 answered questions. That is a solid effort. Thank you for all the fantastic questions. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. I know we ran a little bit over time there. Apologies for that, but I think it's important to answer the questions that come up. That takes us to the end. I'm going to wrap up before we get any more. No, I'm really joking. Of course, we're happy. Like we said, if you have more, hello@boolean.co.uk, or head to the website and get in touch using that button at the bottom of the apply page. A huge thank you to Lenny, to Raphael, to Tishani. A huge thank you to everybody who gave up their evening to join us, to Kate and Ed, of course. And I guess all that's left to say is we really hope to see some of you soon at the admissions interview, and fingers crossed joining our course as well. November the 10th is the next date. You've got a week and a half to get your applications in. So yeah, don't sleep.